Welcome to season 2. Thanks for joining me. I am Mr. Wilson. I want to invite us to go on over to tcp-academy.teachable.com. Subscribe over there. There are a lot of free courses, and of course, you might find a course over there, or you will find a course over there that will be beneficial to you. The prices are really, really reasonable. Looking at the May June, or one might say the July 2021 biology multiple choice paper. That is the most recent of multiple choice paper we're going to be going through. Paper 1 you'll see, and these are the instructions for the persons who are new to past papers. I usually recommend that students do past papers like the athlete practices on a track. So the students are supposed to practice on past papers, make sure that they are getting ready for the exam as it would. Now, the first question here, I have answered them earlier, or some I answered earlier. Which of the following feature is used to classify a group of organisms as class insecta? So we want to look at what characteristic there will be or always exist if it is an insect. Now, it wouldn't be wise for us to select size because insects come in various size. As it were for shape, that's another thing. They might shape differently. As it were for color, insects have many color or many colors. However, when we look at the number of body segments, if it is an insect, the body is always going to be divided into three parts. Some might have two pairs of wings. They'll have antenna. They will have compound eyes, and in some cases, I think omatidium. Those are the micro eyes. So the most appropriate answer here is going to be D. Question number 2, which of the following option correctly defines a niche and a habitat? I always say that I just don't like the word niche, right? However, this is a question that is clearly filing and recall as for definition. Now, a niche is pretty much the role of an organism in the ecosystem. Habitat, I love to say, is a place where organisms are found or where organisms live. So in this case, the role of an organism or the role the organism play in an habitat, that would clearly be my answer. Now, the habitat is the place where the organism live, but we can look at the other option. The place where an organism lives. For B, that would have been habitat, so that could not have been the answer. The role, you realize there's a reverse there. If you look at C, a community of living organisms, all right, which share the environment. Now that is not a niche. Looking there more like at an ecosystem because a community we are having many population and the environment we have the biotic factor there being combined. Those are pretty much out, and B is also out. So our answer naturally is going to be A for number 2. We're looking at the July 2021 biology paper number 1. Living organisms such as plants are affected by abiotic factors, which determine where they become established. Which of the following options lists some of these determining factors? Now, organisms are dispersal is always going to be influenced by biotic, which is a living component of the environment, and abiotic, which is, of course, a physical component of the environment. It is not so fair to say the non-living component. It's pretty much those factors that we would look at, might I say, probably in geography. So here we have sediment size. I don't know the sediment size to be among the group. I don't know the shape to be among the group and the color. I really don't know those. I'll have to do some more reading to see that. Sometimes these things can look a little puzzling to you. Have I ever seen this? I can't remember, but I have seen topography. Wonder if sediment size and shape has anything to do with topography because topography is an abiotic factor. But here, my answer is, of course, going to be light, availability of light, light intensity. If you look at the ferns in Fern Gully, they are really, really green because they are producing more chlorophyll based on the disposition and the availability of light. We also could look at soil pH. Now, the pH of the soil is, of course, going to be determining where an organism is found, not all organisms will strive at the same pH. And the mineral content there, plants need a mineral to grow, or organisms need mineral to grow. All right. So the other thing, when we look at parasitism and commensalism, those are more biotic factors. And when we look at deforestation, slash and burn, those are anthropogenic impact. Those are human impact. All right. So for me, I am going to be going with B. You can tell me in the comments what you think. Might I say we are in review of our posts we've done, the posts that we've done last year. So if there's any post that we have on the internet that you would have seen that you think we need to review, please send us a comment on the particular post that we can do a review and put out a better thing. Like all good channel, you must continue to do reviews and to make the best product available. Question number 4. Which of the following organisms are most important in biodegradation? So we're now talking about breaking down organic content into water, nutrients, one might say, are into humus. Now we have bacteria, we have vultures, we have omnivores, we have earthworm. This is a very interesting question because if you know vultures, they pretty much eat the remains of organism, more so animals, so to speak. Omnivore, they will be eating both plants and animals, like you and I, and so on. Earthworm, they play a very, very important role in aerating the soil and in breaking down plant remains as well. So we could consider them to be detritivores. They work in that whole process. The things that are responsible for cycling nutrients and real degradation is always going to be your fungi and bacteria. So our answer here is bacteria for number 4. Question number 5. A farmer noticed pink mealybugs. Don't worry about the color, worry about the question. Pink mealybugs in his garden. He is advised to introduce the ladybird beetle. Now, some persons call it a love beetle. It's like a red and black beetle or orange and black beetle, that type of thing, to control the mealybugs. The type of relationship between the mealybug and the ladybird beetle is described as, one of the things we note here, let us establish what is going to happen. The ladybird beetle is expected to eat the pink mealybug. It's like more, I think it's an aphid, I think it is. I think it's a relationship like an aphid. I don't remember what's a pink mealybug. I know the name, but I'm going to be honest here. All right, but based on what I'm seeing here, and I'm arguing it like a student. You don't know one, but you have to use context clues to solve it here. All right, so I'm arguing down that line. So if we look at the farmer observing or notice the mealybugs in his garden, he's advised to introduce a ladybird beetle to control. So the problem here, or the pest here, is the pink mealybug for the agriculture student. And we are using now the ladybird beetle to control. This is another example of like using a dragonfly to control mosquitoes, or to use a Brazilian cane tool to control sugarcane beetle. So this is a biological control. And in a biological control, we are seeing a predator-prey relation, not commensalism. All right. Now, I have a video on my channel on all these relationships: parasitism, mutualism, commensalism, predator prey relationship. You probably want to go and watch that, or I might just tag it in the section below. So, our answer here is going to be B, predator prey relationship. Once a biological control is introduced, then it's going to be predator prey. Question number 6. Which of the following statement about recycling manufactured material are true? I have a video on this on my channel. You probably want to go and check it out. Now, less energy is used in manufacturing new product by using the raw material from recycled product. Now, you really want to check out that because there's a stark difference between reduce, recycle, and reuse. Of the three, the least efficient is going to be to recycle. However, when we recycle, indeed, we are using less energy than we would have used to produce anything from scratch. Now, some manufactured product can be recycled. Only some can be recycled. Some we just have to get rid of them. They just can't be. If you think about the waste plutonium and there are some other real toxic stuff comes from manufacturing that we just can't recycle. Think about asbestos. We really don't want to recycle asbestos. Now, recycling of some non-biodegradable material prevents landfill site from filling up too quickly and for a long time. That is true. That is one of the things. If you look at the side of any waste collection truck or garbage truck, you'll realize that they all reduce, recycle, reuse is on the truck. So we go with D for the answer here, saying that all these are plausible answers. Let's look at question number 7. Approximately 10% of the energy stored in food is available to the next organism in a food chain. Why? Because most of the energy is lost as heat during the process of respiration. Now, this is my answer, but I'm sure persons are looking at B. Most of the energy is lost during the process of excretion. And why this is going to be a little troublesome is because excretion, in the sense that you're passing urine, one might say that you're sweating, and while you're sweating, you're right. Here, energy is being lost as heat energy. All right. So respiration is a big thing, and I think this is directly from the textbook, if you ask me. All right. So for me, the others are out. You can read them. They are on screen. Let's move to question number 8. Now, which of the following material is considered to be non-biodegradable? Now, non-biodegradable means that it will not degrade or it's going to take a long time to degrade. Grass cutting, those are organic, so they are going to decay in no time. Earthworm and fungi and bacteria will take care of that in no time. Newspaper, once it gets wet and it's out where the microbes are and the earthworm, it's going. The fabric, it will also go much easier than a sardine can. Here, the non-biodegradable material for me is going to be sardine can. It's going to take some length of time. Cloth, like I say, will decay much easier than the thin, providing that it has the right environment. Question number 9, replanting trees on a bare hillside is an example of. All right, very good. So we are looking here at restoration and preservation. We are looking here at preservation and conservation. We are looking at the big word reforestation, or which is of course I think a synonym for reforestation, afforestation, which is pretty much planting in an area where there was nothing there before. But this is not afforestation. We are looking at reforestation and restoration. Looking at replanting trees. Trees were there before, it is bare, and we're going to put back these trees in a bare land. So the most appropriate answer for me is going to be num it's going to be C for number 9. You can tell me what is your answer in the comment section below. Let's up on over to question number 10. The greatest threat to the survival of coral reef is. Now, we've always been seeing questions like this on the paper, and sometimes the question changes a little bit, and the options also change a little bit. So we have to pay keen attention to these, not just go about sticking A, B, C, or D. Now, we're looking here at the threat to the survival of coral reef. Now, increased dissolved oxygen. I don't know that the oxygen will actually damage the plant. I don't know that. That damage the coral reef. I don't know that. Not a plant. Increase ocean temperature. I am sure of that because the increased ocean temperature will cause coral bleaching, right? Where it will disrupt that relationship between the zooxanthellae and the coral. So you have coral bleaching taking place there, and eventually the corals die. Now, the decrease in greenhouse gases. The decrease in greenhouse gases, we are all vying for that. So if it was not a good practice, then we wouldn't be doing that. So no, that is out. Decrease in nitrogen level. Now, nitrogen level, once there is a increase in nitrogen level, we know about sewage and all of that, it's going to damage your coral. So of course, that's going to be. So B is our answer. Moving on. Question number 11 refers to the following graph of a population growth. It appears to be something similar to that which we call a sigmoid growth curve, or something similar to what we refer to as the S curve. Now here, this dotted line here coming across showing the carrying capacity. Right? Usually there is a fluctuation about carrying capacity as the growth of the population faces environmental resistance. Here it's showing the start there, log phase, and then we have the exponential growth phase here. And then one might say here's a plateau, here we are having dying off and all of that. Let us look at the question. Phase 4. So we're looking at this final phase of a population graph. Is most likely due to what causes it to look like that. Now, competition from invasive species. Now, if you look at this, we are having dying off. So the graph is now going in a opposite direction. It's now going down. Now, once you're having this, it tells you that you're having competition, or might I say, the big broad topic here is that you're facing environmental resistance. So if you're having competition, if you're running out of food, if you have disease, if you don't have enough water, all of those are forms of environmental resistance. So A is going to be the most adequate answer. Now, adequate food and space. If you have adequate space, that is not a resistance, so you're going to be growing. Adequate food is that is not going to be a resistance, so you're going to be growing. So that is how high natural birth rate. Now, high natural birth rate will go between 1 and 2 here, where we have the exponential growth phase. So that is definitely not it. Disease resistance. If you have resistance, you have no environmental uh, threat or no environmental resistance. So that is also A is the most plausible answer. Question number 11. Question number 12. When compared to a cheek cell, and you know that cheek cell would be an example of epithelial cell covering in the layer of organs or covering organ. A muscle cell contains more. Once we talk about muscle and liver cell, the first thing that comes to mind is going to be mitochondria, energy there. So of course, your answer here is going to be C. This is pretty much from cells in your textbook. We move on down to question number 13. And it refers to the following diagram of the cell. We could look at this and try to figure out what is happening here. One here being the mitochondria, we're seeing the folds, the invagination, and two here being stalks of uh so this pretty much is a chloroplast, and here we're seeing nucleus, and we're seeing the large vacuole here, and probably a starch granule there. Not too sure here. I'm not too sure this one here. All right, but I know it's not the nucleus. All right, which of the labeled structure is responsible for controlling cellular activity? Now, controlling cellular activity, we're talking about controlling what happens in the cell. It's the brain of the cell. One would say it's a nucleus. So, of course, that is going to be your four. As we are seeing, we've identified all four parts there. So, we're going to be using 4D as the answer for this particular cell. Let's look at item 14, which refers to the following diagram, which shows a process by which substances are moved into and out of cells. Now we're seeing concentrated sugar solution and dilute sugar solution. And usually, when we see this setup, the first thing that pops in our mind is that we're looking at a setup for osmosis. And if you go to my channel, you'll find an exclusive video on osmosis, diffusion, active transport. I have covered it all on my channel. Now, concentration, if you look, there is a concentrated solution, and you're seeing here the dilute sugar solution is going down while the concentrated solution is going up, which shows that there's a net movement of water from the dilute solution into the concentrated solution. And if you were supposed to pay keen attention here, you'll realize that these larger particles are representing the sugar. One, two, three. Observe here, one, two, three. They are just too large to move through the semi-permeable or the selectively permeable membrane here. So they stay. In some cases, you might have a few moving, but the net movement there is going to be with water. Now, what we're supposed to look at is which of the following option correctly identifies and describe the process occurring above. No, it is not diffusion. We know that because it's water molecules that are moving. So osmosis B is going to be a plausible answer. Osmosis, water moving from dilute to concentrated solution. Let's look at D, which is another osmosis option. Sugar moving from concentrated. The greater movement is going to be that of water, so B is going to be your answer. Moving down to 15. Whichever following function is not correctly matched to the organelle. Now you're supposed to know what's the function of the organelle, which is nicely outlined by the syllabus. So osmotic control in the cell is going to be the cell membrane. All right. We're looking at NOT. You need to pay attention to NOT here. So this is correctly matched. If we look contain hereditary material, that is going to be the nucleus. This is not synonymous with the red blood cell as it has no nucleus. Release of energy, that is going to be the mitochondria. All right, so we know that to be fact. When it comes to protein synthesis, this is going to be the ribosomes, right? And chloroplast, that organelle there, is going to be responsible for photosynthesis. So here we know that this is clearly the NOT, which is a mismatch. So these are our answer there for 15. When you look at 16, it refers to the following diagram, which shows a xylem vessel. We know that the xylem vessel, they are dead. One of the things we need to know about the xylem vessel when we study biology, we need to know the functional and structural differences, as it were, for the xylem and the phloem vessel. So here we're seeing the space, the hollow space here in the dead xylem vessel. And we're seeing here the enrolls. Now, the cell containing lignin. Lignin is made of cellulose, which makes this thing we like to say really lignified or tough. One would love to say rigid, that type of thing. This is pretty much a gap where the cells meet. So we're seeing the gaps here where the cells are stacked on each other to form this hollow column. Now, the major feature that is responsible for the rigid structure of a xylem is, of course, going to be lignin. We say that it is dead and all of that. Now, persons are going to be carried away by cell wall, but the answer here is going to be the lignin, which is, of course, made of cellulose, and it will cause this to be really rigid. All right, so we move on to question number 17. And some of these questions are repeated questions. I didn't point them out, but when you see me again, I will. Which of the following feature does not, and this is very, very important, and that is why I ask or suggest to student, practice your paper. For me, when I started doing past papers, when I see not, it somewhat give my brain some trouble. But when you start practicing and you get to the not and get to the not, when you get to the exam, make sure you underline this and you're answering for the not. Because in some cases, there is a for and not there. So you want to make sure that you're following the not. All right? Not enhance a leaf's ability to absorb solar energy. Now, this question is going to be a little troublesome for a lot of persons, and I'm going to tell you why. For me as well, as I answer the paper as a student. Now, in your textbook, you will observe that the title for this particular question from photosynthesis speaks to the adaptation of a leaf for photosynthesis. This question is not asking about the adaptation of a leaf for photosynthesis. It is asking about the adaptation of a leaf to absorb solar energy. So if you were supposed to look in your textbook, C would have been correct for the adaptation of a plant for photosynthesis. But this is not photosynthesis. This is about light. So I went for large surface area. The cuticle, waxy cuticle is preventing, of course, the water from evaporating. But of course, it must be transparent in order for the leaf to absorb sunlight. You would know about the peppered mud, as it were, with the during that time pollution covering the leaf. If the leaf is all covered, then photosynthesis is going to be significantly reduced, if any at all. So it must be transparent. When you look at the presence of chloroplast in the palisade mesophyll, which is the upper mesophyll, that's where you're going to be having a concentration of chloroplast to capture that sunlight. So for me, the not here is going to be C. Tell me what's your line of reasoning in the comments below. Question number 18 seems to be a question that repeats a lot of time, or should I say the diagram itself repeats a lot of time, because in more than enough cases we're seeing this question and the options are not the same. The diagram is the same, but not the options are for answer. Now, item 18 refers to the following diagram, which represents a metabolic process carried out in plant. If we look here, getting into the plant is water and carbon dioxide, and we have light coming in. So clearly, it's telling us about photosynthesis. Now we're seeing chlorophyll in the chloroplast, which pretty much that's trapping that light energy, and we're seeing oxygen being given off. Now, photosynthesis will, of course, give us some oxygen, and it will give us food. What food is given off during photosynthesis? Of course, it is glucose. Glucose is given off, but it is starch that is stored because starch is not as soluble as glucose. So as such, the plant stores that excess as starch. And of course, we'll talk about others. You could go to my videos on my channel on photosynthesis for more on that. So here the food produced is of course glucose. As it were for photosynthesis, your answer for 18 is of course going to be glucose. I will move on down to question number 19. Please be reminded to visit my new channel at tcp-academy.teachable.com. In the section below, sign up for one of the courses over there so that you can help me to continue producing great videos over here on the free side, and of course doing past papers and all of that. Sign up for one of the bundle packets. Sign up for something over there. There's something over there that you will benefit from. All right. Remember to also join us on a Wednesday, Sunday, and Friday, half an hour free classes. All right, so you want to make sure that you subscribe to my channel, click the notification, and select all so that when we send out that thumbnail for the class, it will pop up in your mail. All right, the time we're not so settled on the time, but we know the days. 19. Item 19 refers to the following graph of rate of photosynthesis versus light intensity. And this graph comes directly from your textbook. You are following photosynthesis. So if you look at that, the rate of photosynthesis versus light intensity. When we look at the sigmoid growth curve, and I'm going to be doing a little drawing here. When we look at the sigmoid growth curve, we said that once we have environmental resistance in the sigmoid growth curve, what would have happened is that we're going to be having dieback R. We won't have this unrealistic, what we call J curve, right? So here we're seeing that as light intensity increases, the rate of photosynthesis increases. But if we observe here, and the rate of photosynthesis, this is what we are looking at. Not this arrow here, not this arrow here. This is the increase of photosynthesis, the increase of light intensity. But this is actually showing what is happening. This is the variable that we are looking at. This line on the inside here. All right. So what we observe here, as the light intensity increases, so somewhere here, let me just draw down a line here. All right. So as the light intensity increases, the rate of photosynthesis increases here until we got to a point where carbon dioxide became a limiting factor. Thus, the rate of photosynthesis pretty much remained constant. So you see it's going right across here, that plateau being formed. So here, carbon dioxide becoming a limiting factor. So the question wants us to look at which of the following statement best accounts for the shape of a graph. Now, as photosynthesis rate increases, there is an increase in carbon dioxide. No. B, as light intensity increases, the rate of photosynthesis also increases until a stationary phase exists. No. C, no. We went for D. As light intensity increases, there is an increase in photosynthesis until there is no further increase in the rate due to some other limit. And the other limiting factor here is carbon dioxide. Tell me in the comment section what you think. What's your answer? All right. Question number 20. Which of the following organism is a saprophyte? We made mention of saprophyte earlier, saprophytic relationship. Now, the mango tree if we look at the feeding, there are different three different modes of feeding. You have autotrophic or nutrition, autotrophic, heterotrophic, and saprophytic. That's what we want to look at here. So the cat, heterotrophic, amoeba, heterotrophic, mango, autotrophic, and bee here being saprophytic. So our answer there is going to be B, saprophytic, for this particular question. Let me get these out of the way so I won't cause too much confusion. All right. And then the last question we're going to look at on this paper for now is item 21. An enzyme is best defined as a molecule which, now you have to pay attention to this, and this question has been repeated so many times. Increasing the rate of chemical reaction. Let me be like that student who is on a hurry to finish the paper. They are going to choose this because the truth is, this is correct. All right. But is it the most suitable answer? No, these are out. Decrease is out. Let us look at this here. Increase the rate of chemical reaction, but remain unchanged at the end of the experiment. This is the most suitable answer. So though this is correct, it is not the most suitable answer. So this suggests to us that we have to read through all the options before we select a answer. Now, the paper is going to be over there on Teachable. You probably want to go over there and check out this and many other papers and live lessons. You can, of course, sign up for our self-paced course, which is, of course, only $100 for the entire year. You will have uninterrupted classes. If you are not able to access the class now, you can access it later at your leisure. And guess what? There's no real teacher in the classroom as the videos are presented, the lessons are presented in videos. But guess what? You're going to be seeing Mr. Wilson 3 times for the week. That is like going to class 3 times for the week. So if you at least go over to my channel and sign up for that $100 package for the year, it is going to be a plus for you. There's also other products over there. It's free to go over there and sign up. Just go over there and sign up. Anything you want to know, send me a letter and I'll of course answer. You just need to send me a mail and I will answer. Now we're going to be putting up a lot more questions. It's like the start of the year. We're ready to go now. We're putting up questions. If you want to find out more about this 2021 paper, it's over there. The HSB paper will be releasing shortly. And of course, I'm sure that everyone will be happy because we're going to be doing all the papers, including agriculture paper and probably some environmental paper moving on. Remember to like this video if it helped. Remember to leave us a comment if there's something you want to comment on. And of course, subscribe, and click the notification bell and select all. When you subscribe and watch these videos in full and share them, we make more videos to help you. Start practicing your past papers now so that you are not in the bundle of persons to fight to find past paper 2 minutes or a day before the exam. I am Mr. Wilson from CSEC Biology TCP. Let me remind you, join us also on tcp-academy.teachable.com. It's on your screen. You want to check that out. Until next time, take good care of yourselves and your family. Bye.